Well, the evidence in that Georgia mother's death investigation keep rolling in, and speculation in the true crime community is moving faster than the speed of light or wildfire. Let's avoid some of the speculation, folks, and examine the facts as we know them right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Profiling Evil and this special edition on the Debbie Collier case. That's the woman down in Athens, Georgia that died. I'm joining you from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, up in Canada. I'm here this week speaking at the Northern American Law Enforcement Convention. I hope you'll take a minute as we get started and hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell so that you get all of our notifications. You know, I want to take a moment and thank those of you who are channel members to Profiling Evil. Your financial support is helping us keep the lights on, and that way we can continue to provide quality content. But for now, let's dig into this case. I appeared on Court TV with Vinnie Politan last night to discuss this case, and our discussion, it swirled around the discovery of Debbie Collier. She was discovered in a ravine in those Georgia woods. It was about 60 miles north of her home. Now here's where this case gets crazy from my position, right from the get-go. Collier was seen on closed-circuit television cameras at a discount store in Clayton, Georgia. That's, 15 miles north of the place where she's discovered. She was seen dressed in red, and most people are speculating that that was because she was sporting Georgia Bulldog colors, preparing for a football game that was slated to begin that day. Now, many are speculating that she was probably getting ready to go to a tailgating party or something, but I want to caution you folks, all of this is merely speculation, so please don't formulate an opinion until we see more information roll out. Others are saying she was forced to be there. I've not heard anything official yet, and I just want to say I think it's inappropriate to speculate too much before we get more information. It just leads to a whole bunch of misinformation and misguided leads. Now let's take a moment and review the timeline in this case. The media reports are suggesting that neighbors heard a commotion coming out from the Collier home on September 9th. Now listen, there's no indication of what commotion really means. So rather than speculate, again, I just want to call it like it is. The neighbors said there was a commotion coming out of the residence. Now, again, there's a lot of folks out there suggesting that commotion means domestic violence or some other kind of disturbance. Holy cow, I don't know what commotion means. All I know is that's what's been said, is there was commotion. I haven't heard anything official, so I think we need to be a little bit cautious on this. Now, I've also heard through the grapevine that the county sheriff is going to hold a press conference, perhaps even tomorrow. Now, I hope he allows for questions from the press, and I think if he does, it's going to get really interesting in this case as these rumors start to be addressed. Personally, I think it's reckless that people are getting out there and suggesting domestic violence or some other kind of criminal event in the home on the 9th. Now, it might prove to be true, but frankly, right now, I'm just holding out, waiting for official statements to come out before I say one way or another what I believe is happening. I have my own opinions. You've got your own opinions, but I'm going to wait for that press conference and hope that they shed some light on this subject. I'm going to leave you also to theorize what the word commotion means in regards to this case and the reports. You know what? Based on what we know so far, which isn't much, commotion is creating a whole lot of emotion. Now, Collier's husband reportedly told police that the last time he saw his wife was at 9 p.m. on that Friday night, September 9th, the same night as this commotion that went on. He said the two said their goodnights and they went to their individual room. And boy, oh boy, that has spun up a lot of speculation out there regarding the fact that this couple was sleeping in separate rooms. Now, the media is reporting that he said the reason they were sleeping in separate rooms is because he snores. I'll tell you what, if you've slept with a snorer, you can see why they might have chosen separate rooms. And frankly, it isn't that uncommon. It needs to be considered at its face value, folks. I don't believe it's an indication that there's discontent or violence in the marriage. Again, there may be. But to assume all of this without further information is really inappropriate in my opinion. I believe that the information's going to come out, and it'll come out in due time. I've read the reports that suggest that the husband left for work early the next morning, September 10th. Now, that's a Saturday, and we don't know what his wife's activities were. We don't know what Debbie was doing that morning, but I think that they're going to be able to piece all of this together. But here's what we do know. Here are facts. At 2:55 p.m. that day, Debbie Collier was seen entering a Family Dollar store in Clayton, Georgia. Now, Clayton, Georgia is about 80 miles north of where they live. And this is really significant for a number of reasons, and we're going to be exploring those as we talk throughout the video. But first, I want to just pause long enough to watch that surveillance video of her shopping that day at Clayton's dollar store. Now, again, I think it's called Family Dollar, but here's the thing that's so important. I want you to look at this from a behavioral perspective. I want you to watch her actions and the way she's moving, whether she's looking over her shoulder. All of that's really important as we look at these criminal cases, because most often more is said by nonverbal behavior than by verbal behavior. So let's watch this. Well, what are your thoughts about Debbie's behavior, folks? I'd like you just to take a moment, pause, and enter your comments in that chat box down below. Make sure that you're looking for comments from other people also and respond to them. Talk with each other a little bit. Explore this case together and explore the behavior together. I think behavior is really important, and you've heard me talk about it over and over again. And if you didn't catch it, she purchased a poncho, a torch lighter, a tarp, and I'll tell you, I've purchased a lot of tarps in my lifetime. She didn't purchase a real big tarp, a tote bag, and paper towels. Now let's review a couple of facts that we know. We know that a neighbor reported that there was a commotion on the night of September 9th. Around 9 p.m., they go to bed. Those are facts. We know a fact that they sleep in different bedrooms, that the husband left the next day and doesn't know what his wife was doing during that time. And we know for a fact that at 2:55 p.m., she walked into that dollar store and made some purchases. 2:55. That means if travel time is accurate, that she would have had to have left home around 12:30 that day to get up there in time to go into that place. Here's something else that I think we can theorize. Based on the videos that we're watching, Debbie doesn't appear to be under any stress when she walks into that store. She's wearing those red bulldog colors, including a visor. Now, it's going to be really important in this investigation that we understand what kind of fan she is. Is she a real dedicated 100% Bulldog fan? Or is it just fashionable to wear red on game day? This one's going to be kind of important because it's going to give us a little better sense. And I believe we're going to learn as this investigation continues whether she was meeting somebody up in that area and that's why she drove up there, or if she was under some kind of duress. This is why I'm so troubled. There is a significant amount of information that suggests she passed a whole lot of places she could have stopped to buy those items if that's all she was searching for. And there's a significant message that's left for her daughter shortly after she leaves that store at 3:09 p.m. That's only 14 minutes. Now, I don't know if you noticed, I didn't see any shaking of her hands or fumbling with her wallet, with her bags, or anything else. She looked pretty darn normal, like she was buying stuff like any other day. I would really like to see the exterior cameras on that building or the video cameras from across the street at other businesses just to see if there might be somebody that was following her or someone that appeared to be surveilling her. We may find out that those purchases are really pretty dang easily explained, like she was going to a tailgate party and she was just buying things to prepare for it. This is where interviews with her friends and associates is going to be so incredibly important. And of course, this is where the examination of all of her mobile devices and her vehicle and other information from a forensic standpoint is going to prove to be invaluable. Here's the deal. I can't figure out why she went so far north to go to a store unless she was driving up to meet somebody. Again, was she meeting a friend in the area and they were going to watch the game and party together? Or was there something more sinister happening? Now, here's why I'm stumped. I created this map and this drive time analysis of all the stores that are similar to the store that she went in within a 15-minute drive of Debbie Collier's home. You can see from this map that there are 3 stores that are really close to her home, less than 15 minutes away. In addition to that, there are 3 more stores that are about 16 minutes away from her home. Why on earth does she need to drive for an hour and a half to go to the same kind of store? Again, it causes me to theorize that she was either directed to go to that location, which could explain why she ends up 15 miles south of there, or that she was going up to meet a friend and happened to be a victim of opportunity. Regardless, 14 minutes after she left that store, 3:09 p.m., she sent a Venmo payment to her daughter, or at least someone sent a Venmo payment to her daughter. And I haven't even seen an official declaration of whether it came from her phone or some other device, but forensically they're going to be able to show that. The money she sent was about $2,400, I think $2,385 or something if I remember right. But here's what's really significant. She also attached a note to that Venmo payment that said, quote, "They are not going to let me go." Now, who's not going to let me go? Is it demons in her mind and she's making some declaration and trying to clear the slate and give her daughter some money? Or is it that she's being held for some kind of ransom? But remember, law enforcement said she wasn't kidnapped. That note also indicated that there was a key underneath a flower pot at the home. Now, again, that could have been information that was recovered during an abduction and being held and forced to write something. Or it could have been something where somebody had intimate knowledge that she kept a key under that pot and decided to write a note trying to stage this entire thing. This is another area that has just flat left me scratching my head. Now think about it. Collier's daughter said that it was incredibly stressful when she received that text message. And yet, her daughter and reportedly her husband waited 3 hours to report her missing to police with this bizarre note happening. I'm really troubled by this. I mean, think about it. How long would you wait, folks, if your mother or your loved one sent you this message and disappeared off the map? Would you wait 3 hours? Listen to my exchange with Vinnie Politan on Court TV regarding this element of the case.
Mike King, I am so obsessed with this Venmo transaction because, again, 9 minutes afterwards, and Joe Scott Morgan did a great job of laying out the geography here. That dollar store is about 15, because Court TV producers were up there today, is about 15 minutes, 15 miles or so north of where her car is found. So if she went straight from the dollar store to where her car ended up, that Venmo would have to be sent while she's driving on that road. Otherwise, something else is happening. Something else is happening. What are your thoughts about the sending of this money and the timing of it all?
The money is a really big part of this thing, and we can't discount that. I'm so frustrated with this without having more information, because you're absolutely right. Why did she go so far north? She would have passed a lot of locations that she could have purchased those items. So was she compelled to go that direction is the first question. And it's going to be really interesting. I'm really glad Joe Scott's on, because I have so many questions in regard to the forensics of this. I want to see what the bottom of her feet look like. Did she trounce down through that countryside, or was she transported there and this was a staged scene? The fact that her hand's against the tree, is that a representation that somebody's made? That Venmo money is huge. And I think the thing that's bugging me the most about that, Vinny, is the transaction that apparently got everyone so spun up. That was 3 hours before she was reported missing. And holy cow, I'm thinking if somebody in my family said, hey, they're not going to let me go and here's some money, and find the key under the pot, I'd be making a call a whole lot quicker than 3 hours.
Yeah, because the daughter's making calls, and then I see Corey Pegues is nodding his head along with you. Because the daughter said she called and got no answer after getting that Venmo, Corey.
Yeah, but 3 hours, if my mom is missing after 3 hours and we know she's coming back, I can't answer her phone. She has a bad back. Like, it's all of these different factors. I'm calling for my mom immediately. I'm calling the police. You know, just like he said, I was perplexed when I found out they called 3 hours late. Not only did the daughter, but now we have to bring in the husband also, because they called together. Why would it take them three? First, the husband didn't see her since the previous night. She left the location. You can't get in contact with her.
Well, it appears that local police began investigating this missing person case immediately once they heard the details. But it would take a day, 12:44 p.m. on the following day, September 11th, before Collier was discovered in that Georgia woods in that ravine, about 60 miles from her home. Now, investigators used location information from the onboard computer on her rental vehicle to discover where she was. Once they found her vehicle, then the canine handlers had to go into the woods and track her and eventually find her. I don't know whether they found one set of footprints or two sets of footprints. And if she was carried down into there rather than walking under her own control, because remember, she had a bad back, and who knows, she could have been dead at this point, then that set of footprints is going to be pretty darn heavy into the ground. And a half a mile away is a long way to carry somebody. So there's a lot of behavior here that needs to be dug out. Now, reports suggest that when they found her, she was partially nude. And some people have reported nude, but I think the more accurate reports are that she was partially nude. Probably the top missing, because there's some evidence to suggest or support that kind of theory. And she was hanging with one hand on a tree. Again, was that staged and her hand was placed there? Or was it an artifact of her crawling or trying to get up, or whatever the case may be? Now, one report I did hear that I'm comfortable reporting is that the reports suggest that she had charred marks on her skin, burn marks in the abdomen area. But again, defining that further or speculating further until an official report comes out is irresponsible, in my opinion. Crime scene investigators responded to the site and they processed it. They recovered evidence and they recovered Collier's body. Now, since then, a number of people and some news stations have made their way into the area trying to get imagery for their stories. Today, Fox Digital News reported that they discovered an unfired bullet about 90 feet up the hill from the location where Collier's body was recovered. And holy cow, the speculation went wild. People across true crime channels and across the internet were saying, here's the proof. There was a gun involved and she was taken and forced down the scene, perhaps led by gunpoint. I hope we're not overstating and overspeaking before evidence comes out to show something otherwise. And here's why I'm saying that. Fox, when they found that bullet,